want to say good morning, but I actually think it might be afternoon. This is the new floating studio. I absolutely love it. There's so much light here, and I really wanted to start today's little vlog showing you the studio and also just having a little chat and telling you what I'm working on. There's a few apologies I need to make. First of all, Kath is in her workroom measuring and cutting and sawing and building, so if you hear any background noise there, that's because her fault. The other thing is the cats have bells on them and they keep jumping around and stuff, so you might hear that in the background as well. So I apologise for those things, but if I wait for the perfect time is never going to be here. So we're moored up in our 57-foot narrowboat on the Trent and Mersey Canal at the moment, and I'm taking a little bit of time to catch up on some commissions and also to work on some really interesting pieces that I've had in mind for a while. So I'm going to share with you one of my obsessions at the moment, which is swans. I have had the very good luck of being moored next to a whole family of swans. So I'm going to give that a little go and do a quick little sketch and a quick little watercolour with you. The new boat has these massive hatches. You can see there's some light streaming in on the side, which is really great for the artwork in front of me. There's a few shadows, but not too many. And then there's a big giant hatch on the other side, which is a little bit more diffused at the moment and gives like a really nice light without actually the window being right behind you, which happened a lot in the old floating studio. So I'm loving this space at the moment. It's not completely finished. I need to still put up a lot of arty kind of stuff and inspirational things. So if you've got any suggestions of things that this studio is missing, then put them in the comments below. Okay, so this is the one I'm thinking of. And the reason I'm thinking of this one is because it's got the fender in the background. So I've got quite a limited colour palette at the moment. I'm just going to use the greys and of course the purples because I love them with the swans and especially the cygnets. This colour is really interesting. It goes on grey, but when you shimmer it, it's purple. Now this one's a little bit different. She's got the white undertone got a bit of grey coming up from here, and then she has a little bit of tan or yellow. So that's just the start of the swans. That needs to dry now, so I'm going to move on to the fender and to the side of the boat. And don't be scared if you put watercolour somewhere where you don't want it. The trick is get a synthetic brush. And the synthetic brush will help you remove the watercolour that you put where you didn't want it. So I don't actually want a really defined line here because I've got some rope. So I'm just going to make that line disappear. So for the fender, I need it not to be too detailed because you don't want to have a really detailed fender and lots of detailed rope and then have a very impressionistic swan. That's not going to look any good. But remember, I'm just doing this fast little piece for you guys to show you some of the ideas that I have been working on. And you know, if it was a different piece, if it wasn't a sketch, then I'd probably take a little bit more time with it. But these sketches are really good. They help you kind of formulate your ideas and work out what you want to do. And if you've taken a photo, it tells you whether your composition was how you wanted or if you want to change anything. I'm also going to take some artistic liberties with the water. There's a blue that I love to use and a purple, so it's not exactly canal coloured, but it's the one I like the most. That's my painting and I get to decide. I'm at a point where I kind of call it the first pass, if you can see that. I'm at a point where I've done the first pass and everything's pretty flat. I've got my pencil sketching and the first pass of watercolor, and whatever blending of wet watercolor I wanted to do, I have done by now. The trick now is to decide which bits are getting the second pass and which bits are going to stay the same. So I'm just going to continue to add with my quite fine paintbrush here some of the extra details, and then I'm going to, by the magic of television, cut back and show you the very final detail where I'll change my paintbrush again and just do the absolute last touches. So you can see here I've mixed a bit of my brown into my purple shimmer, and what I'm doing is putting it next to the swan as water, but also using it a little bit as the outline of the swan. So you can see how it layers over the other colours, but also because the swan's white, it's quite tricky to do an outline of him or her. So if you just use a different colour and you use it as the outline, then that's kind of the trick there. That becomes an outline that you may have used another time to show that the swan is outlined there. But here, see how you can't see any of the wing details? Well, what I'm going to do is get my yellow again into a little bit of purple, and then at the back here, take some of the lining and colour in some of the space behind. And you want to do this in a bit of a darker colour for some of the lighter areas. And as long as you make it a consistent line across the page, so if I left it like that, it wouldn't be very consistent. But if I take that colour as though now it's a colour shade, and I take it further down the page, then it's going to act as an outline as opposed to just going over . It won't matter so much on the little signets because I'll be able to go around their outline in a little bit of a darker colour. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I'm probably going to put one extra layer of detail in the background, even though I said I wouldn't. And then I'm going to sign it and then it's going to be finished. So I'm going to go back to my wash brush and just mix up some of my green. It's not for extra detail really, it's just because I wanted a tiny bit of extra depth in the background. So that is my photograph of my swan with the cygnets, and it still has to dry, so I'll pop up a photo of what that looks like on Instagram in the next day, or even now, or in an hour, or whenever it dries. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this little episode of the Floating Studio, give it a like and subscribe would be awesome. I'm going to try to do these regularly, so if you have a really great photograph and you think, oh, that would be really great to see it in paint, tag me on Instagram or tweet me or send me a message via my Facebook group. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. You didn't wake up for any of it, Alice. Wake up for anything. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Back to sleep.